Hi, my name's Billy, I read books, and I've read book 2 of The Wandering Inn by Pirate Harbour. I gave book 1 5 out of 5, I've given this one 4 out of 5, and let me tell you why. So, The Wandering Inn is a web serial from thewanderinginn.com. You can go there and you can read this entire series for free. It's a progression fantasy and it will take you a long time to read because this is a big series. This was a big book. Now, to give you some idea of scale, you may have heard of The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. This was a 14 or 15 book series and look at the size of that boy. They're big books. The Wandering Inn is over twice the size of that series. It is big. So the series is big. This book was big. It was over 1,700 pages long. It took me over a year to read it. It is that big. There is that much going on. Now that can be both a strength and a weakness. And I'll tell you a bit more about what I mean by that in a minute. So this story continues straight from where book 1 ended and goes on from there. And similar to book 1, where the book starts to where it finishes is completely different. There is so much more that gets shown to you and explained to you in this book, which is one of the positives about why it's such a big book, because it's got plenty of time to do that. You get time to spend time with characters while they talk to each other, have decent quality interactions with each other. The world expands and expands and expands. The plots and subplots get layered on top of each other. There's layers and layers and layers. And there's characters that you will have come across in the first book and you think you kind of know and you think you kind of understand their motivations and intentions. And in this book, you find out maybe you don't. Maybe you don't know that. Maybe you didn't know their backstory. Maybe you were curious about it. Well, in this one, you may very well find out some more. And the capabilities of those characters become known more to you and can become quite concerning in terms of what their ulterior motives are and what their grand plans may be. And the scale of the story goes more from a more isolated viewpoint or location on the map of this world to continent wide. There are stories and threads being pulled and being revealed to you that cover multiple locations and multiple continents. And with a story that's expanding as much as this is, you would think that for this, the story and the histories and the backstories of characters and places to be shown to you, you would think that there's going to be info dumps. Now, a prime example of that being the book number 2 in the 3-body problem I read recently, where those characters who were just talking at you for 3, 4, 5 pages at a time to tell you some science. It would be very easy for an author to just tell you the history of a certain place, a certain land, just to talk at you. But that doesn't happen. There was only one, I wouldn't even call it an info dump in this book. It's more like a history lesson. And you are actually reading a history book, but it was done right. It wasn't too much. It was done at the right time. It revealed exactly what it was the story needed to reveal to you. And it was done in a way that just made sense. And it was done brilliantly. I knew I was reading a bit of an info dump, but it worked. And hats off to the author for doing that. Now, this book, I don't think is going to win any awards for the standard of prose in it. If you want to find something like that, read Guy Gavriel, read Robin Hobb, read Patrick Rothfuss. But that's not what this is about. This has so much more going for it. And I have been able to see an improvement and an increase in the standard of writing from book 1 to book 2. And I am really, really intrigued to see what is in store, because even though this is a massive book, I get the feeling I am only scratching the surface of what is in store for this series and for this story. Now, why have I given it 4 stars rather than 5? Because as you can tell, other than me saying it's a big book, I've not really said anything that negative about it. Well, it's because it didn't really finish on a jaw-dropping moment like book one did. Book one just kind of shifted gears from out of nowhere and took off into something I wasn't expecting. This feels more like, you know, if you were to have like a middle book in a trilogy, feels a little bit more like that. Good, but there's nothing jaw-dropping at the end. There was nothing that had me reading for hours on end to find out how it was gonna end. There is so much more being teed up here, and the development of characters is fantastic. And even I finished reading that book a few hours ago from recording this now, and my mind, whilst I'm talking about this, is whirling, thinking about what's going to be happening next. So hopefully, if you've not seen my first video, go and watch it. And hopefully I will have done a good job in convincing you to go and read this series and pick it up. It is big, it is intimidating, but just don't think, right, I'm going to read The Wandering Inn, because it ain't going to work. There's too much there for you. It's too big. Like I say, I've read this book over a year. Pick a bit up here, pick a bit up there. And even though I had a break from it, I came back to it and it was like putting on a comfy pair of slippers. In fact, I had to get changed out of my dressing gown and slippers to go and record this video, because I love dressing gown and slippers. So reading this book was like that. Putting on my favourite dressing gown and slippers. And it's just fantastic. Read it alongside another book that you're reading. So I've got Stormlight Archive on the go, and I'm reading that for the first time. I'm nearly 3/4 of the way through The Way of Kings. And then when I've got a bit bored of that, I'll come back to The Wandering Inn and I'll read a chapter. Not even a chapter, because sometimes the chapters can be quite big. But just have it there and chip away at it whilst you've got another book or another series on the go. So there you go. Let me know. Have you read this book? Do you like it? If you've not, are you going to give it a go? You are. You're going to give it a go because you've watched this video. So take care. Happy reading. Goodbye.